So, you want to make money with Blender. Understandable. Welcome to the Blender cult. I'm so glad you've arrived. I made this channel so I have a bit of a spot to keep it real for a second. We'll have tutorials, interviews, pretty much anything that would be hardcore Blender. Now, Blender cult is kind of a joke. Obviously, Blender's not a cult, but if I do see people talking about Maya in the comments that go missing, that wasn't me. I guess technically this is a face reveal, even though I did like several months ago when I gave away more money. A little bit about myself, I hardly ever talk about that. I'm Krafft, my main channel is linked in the description below. I'm 18 years old, I'm still in high school, and I love Blender. I've been passively using it since I was about 14 and really heavily using it since I was about 16. I've done lots of client work, I've made educational resources on YouTube, and I'm currently working for a training company in Southern California called Studio Arts. In that amount of time, I've been able to save up enough to feasibly go to college without having to take on any debt. I try to save a lot of what I make as I would like to not have to go to college and just do this. So I wanted to share some of the methods that I've used and that others have used to make money with Blender, just in case you want to do something similar. Maybe you want some passive income, some active income, whatever the case. I hope you enjoyed this video. Method number one. Now, the first way to make money with Blender is to get yourself a job, get yourself employed, that kind of thing. I mean, talk to my man Josh Webb, talk to my man Blender Binge. These fellas are out here being employed and they are able to support themselves and their loved ones with that job. Now, this doesn't necessarily involve working in a studio. There's many other types of places that will hire graphic designers that happen to need to be 3D artists. Think architecture firms, think product visualization. That being said, there is nothing that helps you stand out more than a good portfolio. I put like 0 effort into my portfolio these days, but if you actually want to get a job, then you're gonna need a really good portfolio. For this, my advice would be to go look at other portfolios that you think are inspiring. A lot of people also do what's called a reel, where you'll put some animated or VFX work into a video format, and then that's kind of like your portfolio. If you want to do one of those, check out Ian Hubert's reel. That thing is insane. Now, how much can you make employed at a studio or elsewhere? It really depends, like most of these things. But according to computercareers.com, the average salary is $65,640. So basically getting a job is like one of the best options. Who would have guessed? Method number two. If you're not quite ready to put in the commitment to become a employed 3D artist, there's always freelancing. Freelancing, from what I can tell, is one of those high risk, high reward things. I mean, I've known freelancers that pull, hundreds of dollars an hour, but then there's also the ones who don't get any work. For this to work out for you, you're gonna really need a portfolio that just blows everybody away and or kind of fits a trendy or specific style. The reason why it's so scalable is because companies with advertising budgets have contracts, and those things can be more lucrative than employment. Some guys that I kind of know that are freelancers in this space are especially Ducky 3D and Elliott. Grant Abbitt also has a lot of freelancing experience, and they've all made content on the topic, so definitely go give them a watch. Method 3. Not all freelancing is necessarily artwork. Not all contract work. What I did when I started freelancing is I started a training gig, and I would go around and train people how to use Blender. And whatever the merits of this happened to be, I found that to be more lucrative than actually just making artwork. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either do it privately or through a company like I do. I started out doing it privately on a website called Fiverr.com, which, real quickly, can we talk about Fiverr.com? I worked on there for a solid year and I made a decent amount, okay? I'm nothing to sneeze at, especially if you're just starting out. But just be warned, Fiverr is a race to the bottom. There will be clients who ask you to do 10 hours of work for $10. From what I've seen, the people who really make it on Fiverr can mass produce. The cool thing about training is that you can sell it as a product. You can sell an hour consultation as a product. So it's not like they're gonna be badgering you after the fact. And on top of that, I like teaching people. It's fun to see people go from point A to point B. What I've recently done is started working with a company. They found me through LinkedIn and offered me a good hourly rate to teach groups of professionals that they were going to be cycling in. So they would be doing the marketing and all of that. All I have to do is show up and teach. Now, that might not be optimal if you're planning on doing that full time, But if you're doing lots of things at the same time, that can be really helpful. Method 4, by the way, I train privately too, Method 4 is to sell educational material. I'm talking about PDFs, courses, and literally everything in between. Selling educational material is one of my favorite streams of income. People do look for value, so make it good. I'm not talking 420 Blender tips levels of good, but make it good. Josh Gambrell is also a wizard in this arena, and he's a really good person to study if you want to do this. Some independent platforms you can sell educational material are Gumroad, your own website. That's always a good idea. If you don't have an audience, as I mentioned before, Udemy and Skillshare are really good options. Now, on the topic of educational material, step 5 is to make content on social media. These are some social media sites popping up on the screen right now. I make content on this one, YouTube. They're technically educational. Here's like a million reasons why this is really good. Let's just start with just YouTube. Advertising revenue, if you can reach lots of people. Sponsors. Niche audiences can sometimes get sponsors as valuable as very popular general channels. Leads. I talked to Elliott one time and he told me that ever since he got like 50,000 on YouTube, he's just been overflowing with work offers. Part of that is because he's a genius and he's really good at 3D modeling, but part of that is because he was smart with how he leveraged his audience. I started YouTube more because I really like making YouTube videos. When I was like 12, I tried making a Minecraft channel. That obviously did not go well. But when you have an audience, it's good. Very good. If you grow an audience on Instagram, those commissions are gonna start rolling in. I can't even speak to the other platforms because like I've hardly been able to experience them except Discord. Discord is a mistake, but we love it anyways. Step 6. If you have a relatively small audience, you should start a Patreon. All the other creators told me this. They were like, dude, start a Patreon. I'm launching a Patreon for the Blender Cult today. In 2 weeks, I will select one random person who has signed up for the Patreon. I've got a video idea set up where I will need another person to help out. You're gonna co-star in a video on the main channel, basically. I'm going to start being responsible, and I'm going to strive to make this the best Blender Patreon that exists. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but it's a goal of mine. It's also a way that you can support the channel and make sure that I don't have to go to college and quit making videos, because that would be lame. Enough about me. You should start a Patreon because the monthly recurring income is a little bit more stable than things like ad revenue. And a lot of the time, if you're going to be working on something else at the same time, you might as well share works in progress and project files and things like that on Patreon. Some Blender specific folks are making like up to $15,000 a month or something on Patreon, and I honestly have no idea how mine is going to go, so I'll check back with you in like a year. Method number 7. If you're good at making 3D models, you can actually sell them on a variety of 3D marketplaces. Unity Asset Store, Unreal Engine Asset Store, things like BlendSwap and Sketchfab. 3D assets isn't just limited to models though, there's plenty of people that sell material packages. The list goes on. Now a lot of these are kind of similar, but I couldn't group them together going forward, so I'm not gonna be doing the whole method number 8. Method number 8 is something that's a little less common, but I actually think it might have some potential. Selling digital prints of your artwork. I've noticed a bunch of startups pop up around artwork, like little metal artwork things or roll-up artwork things that you put on your wall. And so I think there's definitely room for people to be selling digital prints of their 3D artwork. You can reach out to some of these people that sell artwork already and offer your artwork to them. Not exactly sure how that would go though, so don't quote me on that. Method number 9 is to sell stock footage. If you've ever looked at Shutterstock or things like that, you'll probably notice a lot of those satisfying Ducky 3D type of loops available for sale at like really expensive prices. Method number 10. Help! Method number 10 is selling your 3D prints. I've met a couple people now through freelancing that started 3D printed product businesses where they just make little goofy GIFs and things like that that are 3D printed, and then they just list them on eBay. And then when they get enough of those designs up on eBay, they saw some good sales with that volume there. But I definitely think there's more potential than just joke things. So definitely look into that one if you're a 3D printing type of person. Daniel, I know you aren't about to jump out the window for a YouTube skit. The final method I have for you today is one that I find one of the most interesting, and that is to sell add-ons. If you have a skill for coding, There's about 1 million problems in Blender that you could solve. Look at hard ops, look at e-cycles, look at things like Nebula Generator. With enough good press, you could sell some pretty good copies of those things. Now, closing notes, what is the best way to make money with Blender? Well, the answer is it's whatever you're most passionate about, because I can assure you each of these methods work. It's most about which one you'll be able to be passionate enough about to dive in 100% and then absolutely kill it. And so whichever one you choose, I wish you the best of luck. I would love to hear what you guys have to say for the comments. I hope you enjoyed the giveaway, everyone who's here for that. And if after this video you want to learn more about Blender, which I hope you do, please hit the subscribe button and turn the bell on, because the types of videos I'm gonna make on here are gonna be really helpful, but not necessarily view magnets, so every little bit of support helps. Speaking of support, remember what I said about the Patreon. Please. And so without further ado, have an excellent week and take it easy.